All right, Shalita Grant, talk to us about your role in Mercy Street, this PBS television series. Who do you play on there?
So I'm Aurelia Johnson. Aurelia is an escaped slave from the lower part of Virginia, and she escapes further north to Alexandria. And Alexandria at the time had the highest concentration of Black people, both free and escaped at that period. And we're like 2 years into the Civil War. She gets a job at Mercy Street Hospital. It's a
Mhm.
mansion hospital. It's been reappropriated. And she does the laundry. And you find out eventually that she's been waiting to be reunited with her son and her mother. And she asks her boss to help her, and she's taken advantage of.
Mhm. What's interesting is that, like in that first episode, you learn very little about your character and
Yeah.
about a lot of the um, African American characters in the show. You know, you get little quick glimpses of them here and there. Um, but then as the series progresses, as the season progresses, you learn more and more and more. So, as an actress, can you talk about parsing out that information about yourself slowly over the course of these 6 episodes?
Well, what I found so telling and why I really wanted to be a part of the project is that she's a background character. You know, the stars of the hospital always are the doctors, and
Mhm.
then you get the nurses. So to have these essentially background characters, you know, with these outrageous lives, it's indicative of real life, you know, and also that racial skewing, it's still the same, you know.
Mhm.
Most of the doctors are white, most of the nurses are not Black, and then you have the janitors and the, you know, whatever, and those jobs are usually taken, or those jobs are usually had by people of color. And so it's like not much has changed, you know, in that sense either. And these people are living really incredible hard lives, you know, often. So in that way that felt really real, and it felt like really modern. um, and so throughout the course of the series, as you know, an actress who's also doing another television show that is in a different time, it's a procedural, I'm kicking ass, you know what I'm saying? Put up people's asses, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm the boss. And so to do that, and I'm shooting these shows at the same time. So I'm flying from Virginia to New Orleans, you
Okay.
know, twice a week, you know, doing these different shows. The work that I had to do as an actor was to be as simple as I could be, as simple, as subtle, because the drama was there. It's just, you don't have to put a lot on it, you know, just really play the beats. It was a good exercise for me as an actress to build a crescendo under the drama that had nothing to do with my character.
Hmm. So let's talk a bit more about this show. As you said, it's very different from what you're doing on NCIS New Orleans. It's, set during the Civil War. It's about a hospital that treats both Union and Confederate soldiers. You work in this hospital. Uh, what about it? If you could talk a bit more about what specifically attracted you to it as an actor, you know.
I mean, I think, and it's funny. A lot of times people, that question, like what attracted you to it, like,
Mhm.
you know, we all audition for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody handed it to me, you know? So I was like, oh, this is like a really good opportunity, you know, to get another job. So I
Right.
thought I was too late, you know, to audition in LA because I was shooting in New Orleans. And when I got to LA, they were like, you missed it. So just put it on tape. So I shot my audition in the kitchen,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, that morning, and I sent it off. And I didn't think anything of it. I truly didn't, because I was like, it's a kitchen audition. They're not even gonna look at this. They got who they want. And then we got the call a week later, like, you got the job. So from there, that's when the work really began for me. Like, okay, you've got this job. Now what are you gonna do with it? And it was really scary. I was legitimately petrified because I hadn't been asked to do any heavy lifting truly since Juilliard.
Hmm.
But I was nominated for a Tony, and that was for comedy. So I hadn't been asked to do like heavy drama. So I was attracted to the fact that PBS wanted to do something that was really close to the time. They wanted to respect the history, respect the etiquette, all of that, and really tell the story. I ended up contacting the Pulitzer Prize winning historian Eric Foner to get some real like insight for myself on the part and what the expectations were and everything, and had like really good conversations and got really good advice. So truly, I just wanted to do something that felt prescient and timely, especially because right now it's so topsy-turvy. And I think people feel that it's topsy-turvy because I think on some level we all wanted to believe that we were further along than we thought we were. So go
I was
on.
I was going to say, and the Civil War has been the subject of a lot of TV lately, not just this, but also Underground, which is
Yeah.
the Underground Railroad, and civil rights movement has been brought up a lot in television. So I mean, these issues are really on the brain right now, not just in our world, but also in our media.
Yeah.
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 Um, so as an actor, I mean, does that give you extra incentive to take this part and to do justice by it?
Yeah, absolutely. And as a Black woman, I felt so much responsibility, and being one of two characters that had like a real storyline in the show, like it felt like you really have to do everything well, and you have to do everything right. And there were a few times where even in the shooting of it, I had to say like, hey, this does not seem right. I think that we should change this, and having like real conversations and having to, come up with my proof for why, this, whatever. And at the end of the day, everyone was really grateful that, because it's sort of all hands on deck. But I never really felt the need to do that before,
Mm-hmm.
So with this thing, I felt a great responsibility to be just on top of everything.
So speaking of the period, very authentic costumes, sets. As an actor, what does that give you that helps with your characterization?
It just really, it, and especially being a Black person in that period,
Mm-hmm.
it's a mind, just like where everything is. It really sets it up for you. Just even the quality of the garment, you really, and I fought to make sure that everything looked like it was supposed to. But then you're at craft services, and you're next to your co-star, and she's got this huge, ornate, beautiful, whatever, and you're like in rags, and it's like, oh, right, right, right. Yeah, that's what this period is. So it all conspired uh, to really cement the period of time that you're in, and how life or death everything is. And truly, the things that we're dealing with, we're in the middle of the Civil War. For all intents and purposes, Aurelia and Samuel are actually having to deal with the real life consequences of how this war is gonna pan out. For the white cast members, what they're talking about is really about ideals and about, their belief system. But Samuel and Aurelia are actually having to live out how this is going to pan out. So it really, it was hard. It was really hard. And then two, I had to think, what do I have in common with this woman? Because frankly, we're not in the middle of the Civil War. Well, it's 2016. I can walk into places. I mean, I get the same experience, but it's not blatant. It's sign saying whites only, you know?
Right.
So what do I have that's remotely comparable? And I had to break it down. Aurelia is in this incredible time in her life where paradigms are shifting, like not just on a government level, but on a person to person. You know, half of the country is saying that Black people need to be enslaved for the country to move forward. Half is saying that we need to be set free. And so for the first time since the 3/5 clause in the Constitution, you know, Black people are at the center of the conversation. And so, you know, there is upheaval, and she takes her life into her own hands. She says, I'm going to make something out of my life. I'm going to leave the situation and I'm going to go work for wages, which is, you know, fantastic. So she goes to this hospital and she really believes that she can be connected with her mom and her son. And, you know, she asks for services. She gives goods for services to her boss. Hey, if I give you some money, if I give you this necklace, you'll get me the information to reconnect me with my child and my mother. And he lets her know it's business as usual. Your freedom is nominal. It isn't real. And not even your body belongs to you. Still, your body still doesn't belong to you. And so what happens when someone's hope is dashed? Like from a body, a visceral, your hope is gone. So what do? And so for me, what I had in common was in 2008 when Barack Obama was elected, I was at Juilliard. And I come from nothing. I'm from a very small town in Virginia. We didn't have a lot of money. And I didn't even know what Juilliard was when I was in high school, but I had a teacher say that I should audition, and I did, and I got in, and I, you know, and so 2008, I walked from the school, from the dorms to the school that morning after, and I felt like this weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I didn't even realize I had one, and it was like, wow, we've got a Black president. Oprah's a thing, Beyonce's a thing, I'm at Juilliard, you know, anything is possible. If you just work hard, you know, you can have the life you want. And then 8 years later, I can go to my Facebook newsfeed and see Black people being shot down in the street. And the debates that we're having is not of morality, it's about humanity. It's about, does this person deserve justice? Did they deserve to be killed for running, for stealing, for walking, for driving, you know, things that people do every day? You know, does this person deserve justice?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's one of the great things about shows like this or Underground or anything that deals in this subject, whether it's in the past or in the present. I mean, bringing these issues to the forefront in an entertainment and in a way that you can empathize with the people who are on the screen, I think is really helpful in furthering that debate. You know?
Yeah. And also what white people do in these instances. I mean, especially in Mercy Street, there's a great deal of bystanding that happens, a great deal of it, a great deal of pacifism. And that these are all things that I think are easy to do on some level because it doesn't put yourself out there, but it has contributed to us not getting very far in terms of actual equality. So, you know, I found those scenes just as compelling as seeing Samuel almost be hung for something he didn't do. You know, because we see that and we are desensitized to it. But can you look at these conversations that people are having and see how, you know, these people are just like me, you know? And that's what I loved about Mercy Street at the end of the day, is that, you know, we haven't really changed much. Our comfort is still of the utmost importance.
Absolutely. Well, here's hoping it can help further that conversation. Sounds like it already has. Lastly, I want to ask you, you mentioned your Tony nomination, and we're an awards website. So we're always wondering, I mean, you got that at a young age. So
I'm still young. Come on now.
well, actually, yeah, I was gonna say you're my age actually, because when you said you were in Juilliard when Barack Obama was elected, I was like, I was in college too when that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, oh wow, when did you get your Tony nomination? How old were you when that happened? Um,
11 years.
So what did that recognition mean for you? I mean, that was really quite early on for you, you know?
Yeah, it was 3 years out of college, and it was, frankly, I thought I hit the ceiling in my career.
Mhm.
You know, I had worked so hard. It was a character that I helped create, you know, and I was with it from the very beginning. And I think as a young woman, and as a young Black woman, you know, working with this amazing playwright, Christopher Durang, and having so much of your artistic input be validated, I think for for my heart space, it was like, you're good. Like, you know what you're doing. You're a smart woman. So even though I lost or whatever, I was like, I'm still a winner.
Yeah.
So I actually was like, all right, cool. Let me run out to LA real fast and be amazing there. And they're going to totally get it. And they're going to fall in love with me because come on. And I got there and they were like, nah, girl, who are you? What's it? You went to Juilliard? It's not like a 2-year program. Nobody gave a damn. Like, no one cared. They could not care any less in a lot of instances. So it was like really like starting over. That first year, it took almost a year to the day of me being out here, and that felt grueling. But I do know that it takes some people a lot longer. But after I got the first job, I went on my email and I was like, how many jobs did I audition for to get this one job that's not even a life changer? Like, what did it take? 59 different auditions.
Oh my God.
Counting callbacks, producer sessions, going in for one role and them saying that you should go in for another one, testing. I tested 4 times, 59 auditions.
God.
Like, holy smokes. No wonder that sucked. That year sucked. There's a lot of rejection. I'm like, no, girl, you're not good enough. But yeah, after that first job, I worked every other month or booked a job every other month. And then I got NCIS New Orleans and then Mercy Street. And now I'm talking to you on Google Hangout.
Yeah, now you're talking to me. You've really hit the big time if you're talking to me. That's when you know.
Not gone over my head.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on this show and on all of your work. And it was a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.